just heard Tulas Nlesi says authorities must be given an opportunity to complete their investigations into the building collapse in George. Our reporter Karinda Jagmohan now joins us live from the site once again. Karinda, once again, good afternoon. So we heard that report there from the minister also saying that they're waiting on other authorities to complete their investigation before the Department of Labour will conduct its own investigation. However, though, they do have documents relating to that particular site.
Certainly, and this important information that has come out is that Western Cape authorities are still searching for the owners of this property. They say they've tried to make contact, go to the address, no answer. Subpoenas have been issued, but now it's become a legal process. My colleague Sipha Kema has been following the story from Monday, actually. Sipha, thanks for speaking to us. And let's talk about what we just heard in this briefing together, especially with regards to how they've tried to make contact with the owners, but no response, and what you've heard from some of the property developers.
Well, I mean, that is true, Karinda. I think let's start with the fact that when we posed the question to the minister that how they were able to come to the number of 81 people as opposed to the initial 75 that we were told or were stated previously, is that they were able to seize some of the documents from site, which were the employment documents or registers as well, people that were here, and also working together with some of the survivors that have returned to the site to assist with the search and rescue mission. But I think the part that gets a bit confusing there, Karinda, is when they tell us that they were not able to get a hold of the company. They went to the offices here in George saying that it's a George-based company. But I think how were they then able to get a hold of the documents, the employment documents that they've been sifting through? I think also another question that we asked was, from here, where they're going to take it. I think that's the very important question. The minister did inform us and tell us, of course, that it is a process and they'd first rather wait for the South African Police Services to end their investigation before then that they can step in with their employment and labour investigation. But it has been said this is a legal process.
It's a legal process, and while this investigation still needs to happen, they still say this is still a search and rescue. But we've both been here for quite some time, late into the night yesterday. You were here early this morning. What do you make of how that process is going, whether it is certainly a rescue, as they say it's still a rescue, but do you think there's also that narrative of a recovery? I mean,
Karinda, when we look at what has happened in the announcement just from yesterday, from that media briefing at 3 p.m. That was led by the MEC of local government in the Western Cape, telling us that they're starting the demolition phase. I mean, we've seen some of these heavy machinery coming onto the scene on the actual construction site, riding up on top. But of course, they can't officially yet make that announcement because, as they had told us at this briefing, that they are waiting for the international standard time of 72 hours, which is just after 2 o'clock today, which actually has already happened. So we are expecting another update from the George Local Municipality, Western Cape Provincial Government as well, so that we find out what happened from here. And I think another key point to take away from this, we were told by the head of the construction site who's overseeing the rescue mission right now, saying that, as far as he's concerned and with his expertise and experience, he never gives up till the last moment. Anything can happen at this point. They could find people who are still alive.
And he even said that he was praying. He's still praying for some hope. But it's also the families, right? So we've got another camera just looking at what's happening around us. But the family members are also watching the same thing. And there was discussion about now bringing international representatives on board. Tell me about why that's important.
That is important, Karinda, because we've known and we've verified that some of the workers that were employed on the site are foreign nationals. Now, at this point, that means some of them would need to repatriate their bodies back home. And I mean, I spoke to Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman about that yesterday when he visited the site early in the morning, asking about, assistance with the repatriation. And he did say that, hopefully there will be some good Samaritan out there who will be maybe able to assist these families with taking back home the bodies. And that's what is important. Also, remember, Department of Labor and Employment is looking at the labor laws and practices, but not at immigration level. So that's where the international relations will be stepping in together with, of course, the various countries that he was talking about, saying Zimbabwe, Malawi, as well as Mozambique.
And there were discussions about, what's also been spoken around the public is that many of those who worked here were undocumented migrants, young people that were brought in, as the minister said, with regards to cheap labor. He was quite upset about that. But he also gave a discussion about, actually, Sipha, should we maybe grab the gift of the givers, Dr. Suleiman, before he goes?
I think maybe if we can, but I think they headed off. Yeah, they've headed off already.
But you had a lovely conversation about his work. So just going back to the humanity, speaking about the gift of the givers, they go anywhere in the world to help someone. And so that discussion about should we help when it's undocumented migrants, just remind me about what the minister said there. So
when we spoke to the minister regarding them being undocumented migrants, he said we have not reached this point. Remember, even the South African Police Services have been telling us, the Deputy Commissioner of the Western Cape, as she said, that as of this point, we do not know who is undocumented and who is documented. So that's a separate part on its own then from saying that they do have work permits, because someone can be documented and able to be in South Africa legally but not have a work permit. So I think that's one of the important things that needed to be established. As you heard the minister saying, it is very important that we clarify that part with fake news as well.
Yeah, and he also said these are human beings who have rights and that we should help, because right now, they need assistance, medical assistance, and families and counseling. These are human beings. Sipha, just before we end, as we stood here, this rubble, the sound of the drilling that's terrifying everyone, how long do you think this will be undertaken and for that process to conclude, for the investigation to actually start?
Well, when we're talking about time, I mean, that's something very sensitive at this point, because if you remember, Karinda, that when they have not been able to find people as of yet that we can confirm. The last time was when you were here last night, where they were able to get that eighth body that they confirmed is deceased last night. But since we've been here since 5:30 in the morning, they have not been able to retrieve anyone as of yet, or rather confirm that they've retrieved anyone from the rubble as of yet. We've just seen the machinery working, and of course the dogs, sometimes they let them loose into the site just to have a sniff around, and then they come back out again, and then the machine starts up again. And I think the most important part that has been said during this process was that there is no number or days put on. The most important thing that needs to be done is retrieving every single body that is still trapped underneath that rubble. That's what the main priority here is, not about how many days it's going to take or the investigations themselves. But the South African Police Services have already begun with their investigation.
Yeah, critical investigations. My colleague Sipha, Kema, thank you so much for your excellent reporting. Being at the site very early in the morning, and even Sipha, I know that we can still get that whiff. It's the whiff, the smell, sadly, of bodies. We get that often, and that's coming through. We've just heard from some of the volunteers that they've set up a carport. They've allocated one. They've put down tarp, because that's where they'll bring some of the bodies. They've already found a certain place where the rescuers have gone underground to start retrieving. There's always a glimmer of hope. Officially, this is still a rescue mission. Officially, rescuers are saying they're hanging on, they're always praying. And even the Western Cape Deputy Police Commissioner is saying that disaster managers, officials were sent to Turkey, and at that point they pulled out a 92-year-old woman from the rubble following the earthquake at that time, and that was after a number of hours. So just looking at that, they say there is always hope, especially because as we stand here, just behind us, there's families that are watching this, and they are also hanging on to some hope. We'll keep giving you updates as this day progresses, and also we'll try and track down the company owners who seemingly have fled, even the minister saying they should contact the family as a sense of their moral responsibility. Back to you.
Karinda, Jagmohan there, thank you so much, as well as Sipha, Kema, as you've described it. Excellent reporting. What you're seeing now on your screen is what the police as well as the Minister of Labour are describing as a crime scene.